Very sorry. Good evening, guys. Very sorry we are meeting today due to disruptions that have been caused by power failures. And I think we understand that we have to live with this thing. So whenever there are disruptions because of the stage that we are in the semester, we'll have to cover up and we'll have to find some other time to cover up. Right. So today we're going to continue with control accounts. All right. Let me just go to the question. Right. All right. Last time when we met, we did question 1. So today we want to deal with the second question 2. So today we would deal with question 2. And then when you get time, you can deal with question 3 and 4. They are almost similar. Right. Then the next time we'll look at the preparation of financial statements. Right. The following information pertains to Zag Traders at 28 February 2015. Right. The question is check the above information into account and prepare the following in the accounting records: the creditors control account and the adjusted list of creditors. Right. What we should know, I think from our first class on this topic, I said that the control accounts are prepared from totals which are extracted from the books of original entry, whilst the list is prepared from the list is prepared from individual entries pertaining to particular data. So what you should know is in the control accounts we use totals, and in the individual accounts we use what? We use individual entries. Right. So we have got the creditors control balances, which are 250 and 334,515 on 28 February 2015. Right. Then, so, okay, let us prepare the creditors control account. That's it, true. At A, the creditors control account. Remember that the creditors control account records in transactions with our suppliers who supply to us on credit. We'll have just control account. Dates, details, folio, amount. Dates, details, folio, right? We start with our opening balances that we have here on 28 February 2015, which are 250 and 34,515. So we have right. So we have 2015 February 28. We call them the balances brought forward. Right. So what you will do, the one with on the debit, you record it on the debit. The one on the credit, it shows that it's the credit balance, you record it on the credit. So this 250 will be on the debit and this 34 will be on the credit. Remember that we're not dealing with the creditors ledger. The creditors ledger contains individual accounts. So we'll have 250. And then we also have here right. Right. So we're saying here, Muawelo Moremi, the owner of Zag Trade, has requested you to investigate why the balances of the creditors control account differed from the net total of the list of balances of the creditors in the creditors ledger. Your investigation discloses the following. All right, we should know that errors that were made in the totals in the books of original entry will affect your control account. And omitted transactions will also affect your control account. Omitted transactions and errors made in the books of original entry. Those are the transactions that will affect your control account. So you have to look out for those transactions. Right. Number one, the creditors control column in the purchases and purchases returns journals were undercasted by 13850 and 1850. So we've got the purchases and the purchases returns column, they were undercasted. That means the totals were wrong. So we're supposed to correct those totals. Right, so our purchases were wrong. We know that our purchases are recorded on the credit side. Remember that in our a creditors control its liability, it increases on the credit, it reduces on the debit side. So purchases are recorded on the credit side. So if they were undercast, we have to add those purchases because they recorded a lesser amount. So we'd say purchases under cost. Normally, all corrections are done through the general journal, unless if they have to do with cash. Right. So that would be 3,850. And in the same transaction, they also said purchases returns were also undercast. Purchases returns were also undercast by 1.5. Purchases returns, they reduce the amount owed, so they go on the debit side. Then we'll have what? Purchases returns. Right. Then number 2, the creditors column in the cash payments, was overcast by 1,500. Payments were overcast. Remember, if they are overcast, now we have to go to the opposite side to reduce them. When we pay creditors, it reduces their balance, we record on the debit. But if they were overcast, we have to cancel that overcast by recording on the credit side. So it would come on the credit side so that we can cancel that overcast. We'll have what? Our payments overcast. Right. Then number 3, the account of a creditor Langerman CC with a credit balance of 3,600 was omitted from the creditors list. Errors on the creditors list will not affect your control accounts. Errors on the list and errors in the individual accounts of the creditors will not affect our control account. It will affect the list. So we're going to deal with that at a later stage. Right. Then an original credit note received from Balantu importers for 285 was recorded correctly in the purchases returns journal, but was inadvertently posted at 825 to that entity's account in the creditors ledger. This is an error in the individual account of Balantu. It doesn't affect the control account. Remember, the control account is not about individuals, it's all the creditors in one. Right. Number 5, a discount of 1,570, which was received from Bila Clothing on settlement of Zak Traders account, was not recorded in the account of Bila Clothing in the creditors ledger. Again, that's an error in the account of the in the individual account. It will affect the list, but not the control account. Number 6, the debit balance of 1,030 in the creditors ledger was in respect of overpayments to creditors. This amount that includes the opening debit balance of 250 in the creditors control account must be transferred to the debtors ledger. The creditors have agreed to this transfer. Right. We know that our creditors should have credit balances because they are liabilities. Now, when they have debit balances, it means they are owing us. They've become a debtor. So what we have to do when we are canceling them, a transfer to a creditors control, we record because they are debit. To remove them here, we record them on the credit side. To cancel the debit entries, we go on the credit side. Then we say debtors control account because we're transferring them to the debtors control account. TJ 1,030. Right. Number 7, in electronic payment of 6,500 to Cefaco wholesalers a creditor was recorded as 5,600 in the cash payments journal and posted as such to the general and creditors ledger. Right. So this was an error in the book of original entry. An error in the book of original entry will affect both the list and the control account because the totals will be wrong and the single entry will be wrong. So this payment, it was supposed to be 6.5, but they recorded 5.6. So we should record a further payment of the difference. Right. So we would say payment under cost. not necessarily undercast at a understated. Casting is totally, but this is not undercasting, this understated. What do we get?
$900.
900. So there's a further payment of 900 that is to be recorded, considering that they understated the payment from the creditor. Right.
I'm sorry, still there?
Right. Sorry.
Okay.
The credit balance of mailer shop fitters of 445 was recorded twice on the list of creditors. This one, it will affect the list. It doesn't affect the control account. An error on the list affects the list. Right. The purchase of merchandise from Andres Traders for 1,450 was recorded correctly in the purchases journal, but was posted to the wrong side of Andres Traders account in the creditors ledger. Again, that is an error in the personal account. Errors in the personal account will affect this list here. Right. Then the last, okay, there's still number 11. Right. It was noted that there were credit balances amounting to 1,855 that appeared in the debtors ledger. Furthermore, further investigation is disclosed that these balances were in respect of transactions that were concluded with creditors during February 2015. The inexperienced bookkeeper opened these creditors accounts in the debtors ledger. The creditors control account, however, was not affected by this incorrect entry. So if the creditors ledger is correct, it's not affected, so we don't correct anything in the control account, because they are saying it was not affected. Then the last one, the totals of general debits and credits for creditors were 1.3 and 3.6. So the general debits, we record them on the debit side. The general credits, we record them on the credit side of the control account. So we have general debits, general 1,300. Then we'll have general credits, right. Then we balance our account. To balance your account, you check which side is larger. And definitely our credit side is larger. Normally, our credit side is always larger in the creditors control account. So we find the sum. That same total, we enter it on the debit side. Remember, when balancing an account, the bigger total is entered on both sides in the same line. Then on the smaller side, we then record the balance carried forward. Which will be the difference. So it will be this minus the sum. So I'm just subtracting the total of the debit from the credit. We get 40,545. Then that same balance should also come here. That will be the creditors control account. Any question on the creditors control account?
Happy?
Right. Then part B, it then says the adjusted list of creditors. Right, then we'll do the adjusted list of creditors. Adjusted list of creditors. Let's start with the balances before correction. What was the balance on the list before the correction? Right, we are told that before everything, our list had these balances here. The 33,535, which is this 34,565 minus the 1,030. So that's 33,535. Right now, to correct the list, there we'll be looking at three things. Number one, errors that were made on the list. Number two, errors that were made in the personal accounts. Number three, omissions. That is transactions that were completely omitted. We should remember that errors in totals of journals will affect the control account, but not the list. All right, so we'll start here. The creditors column in the purchases and purchases returns journals were undercast by 3,850 and 1,500. This will not affect the control accounts because in the individual accounts, remember that the list is made up of individual accounts. We record the transactions one by one. We don't record the totals. So errors in totals will not affect the list. Right. The creditors column in the cash payments journal was overcast by 1.5. Again, that is the total. It doesn't affect the list. Then number three now. The account of a creditor, Langman CC with a credit balance of 3,600 was omitted from the list. So this balance was omitted from the list, so we have to include it. So we'll have Langman CC. We add because it was not included when it's supposed to be there in the credit balance, a normal credit balance, so we add. Right. Then number four, an original credit note received from Balantu importers for 285. A credit note, that means we returned the goods to Balantu, was recorded correctly in the purchase returns journal, but was inadvertently posted as 825 to that entity's account in the creditors ledger. That's an error in the individual account, so it will affect the list because the list is made up of individual accounts. This is a return of 285, but it was wrongly recorded as 825. So we have to remove part of the what? It's a return that is overstated there. Right, so they have Balantu importers. Return overstated. So we have to add back the balance. Remember that a return will have reduced our account. So we'll have to add back the balance. 825 minus 285. What do we get?
$540.
540. Just a second.
Okay.
Right. So we have to add back because they recorded it as a reduction. Right. Then number 5, a discount of 1570, which was received from Bila Clothing on settlement of Zag Traders account, was not recorded in the account of Bila Clothing. So we have to record that discount. So they have Bila Clothing discount. And when a supplier gives you a discount, it will reduce the amount owed. So we have to subtract that discount because it will reduce the amount owed. Right. The debit balance of 1,030 in the creditors ledger was in respect of overpayments to creditors. These amounts that includes the opening debit balance of 250 in the creditors control account must be transferred to the debtors. Right. So we have this one here. It was transferred to debtors. Remember that to get this 33, we subtracted it. So we have to add it back. So we'll have debit balances transferred debtors ledger. $1,030. Just a second.
Okay.
Right. Then the next thing, an electronic payment of 6,500. Right. to Cefaco wholesale as a creditor was recorded as 5,600 in the cash payments journal and posted as such to the general ledger and creditors ledger. Right. So here the error was also made in the general ledger. This payment was for 6.5, but it was understated. So because it was also made in the creditors ledger, it has to be recorded. Remember, the control account is in the general ledger and the individual account is in the creditors ledger. All right. Right. So we can say Cefaco wholesalers payments and the cost 6,500 minus 5,600. What do we get?
Still 900. So
Oh, sorry, I always the same one, that one.
yeah.
So we subtract. Right. Then the next one. Then the credit balance of Mela shop fitters of 445 was recorded twice on the list. So it was recorded twice. We have to remove one. So we have Mela shop fitters 445. We can just maybe say balance recorded twice. So we have to take the other one out. Right. Then the purchases of merchandise from Andres Traders for 1,450 was recorded correctly in the purchase journal, but was recorded to the wrong side of Andres Traders account. So there was an error in his personal account. It was supposed to be credited. Remember that purchases in the creditors account are credited. So they recorded it on the debit side instead. So we have to record this purchase. Andres Traders purchase is debited. So if something is recorded on the wrong side, to correct it, you multiply by 2 the amount. One, the first amount is to cancel the wrong entry. Then the second entry is to make the correct entry. So we'll say 1,450 multiplied by 2. What do we get?
2.9.
Right. Then number 10, it was noted that there were credit balances amounting to 1855 that appeared in the debtors ledger. Further investigations disclosed that these balances were in respect of transactions that were concluded with creditors during February. The inexperienced bookkeeper opened these creditors accounts in the debtors ledger. The creditors control account was, however, not affected. Right. So they have transfers from what? Debtors control. That's 1,855. So these are creditors, but they'd been opened in the debtors ledger. Right. Then the last one, the total of the general debits and creditors for creditors were 1.3 and 3.6. Totals of the general debits do not affect the personal accounts, they affect the control account. Remember, we say totals affect the control accounts, not the individual accounts. Right. So that means we'll then be able to get the corrected balance of the list. So you see that our balance will be now be the same. That means we've reconciled, we've identified all errors and omissions that had been made in the control accounts. So after the reconciliation, the balances should be the same. Any questions?
No questions. Thanks for that, sir.
Right. If we don't have any questions at our own time, can we look at the rest of the questions? Then when we meet, we shall be looking at financial statements. We shall be looking at financial statements.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and God bless you richly.
You too, Pat.